This time in Oregon, while Kentucky is still too close to call. Meantime, we're getting a look at new financial documents filed by the Democratic frontrunner that show her earnings last year. We now know in 2015 alone, she gave 6 paid speeches, earning her a total of nearly $1.5 million. The least she was paid for a speech was more than $260,000. The most, $315,000 for one she gave to eBay. That means she reportedly made at least 94 appearances before corporate and special interests between 2013 and 2015, earning nearly $22 million. The documents also show Bill Clinton made $5 million from speeches he gave last year. And the AP says almost all of the groups that paid for or sponsored Hillary Clinton's speeches have actively sought to sway the government, some even going so far as to contact Mrs. Clinton directly while she was at the State Department. And Kirsten, this was a hot-button issue in debates, although she wasn't exactly pressed very hard by Bernie Sanders on any of this, but still the public is saying, where are the transcripts from those speeches? What did she say? What did she promise?
Well, yeah, what are you saying that's worth $260,000? I mean, that is the big question.
Or $315,000.
Yeah, I mean, this is...
Well, she was sucking up to Goldman Sachs. We kind of know that.
Yeah,
from the
I mean,
Wall Street Journal's reporting.
She should have to release the transcripts. And, you know, also, because what this frankly looks like is it's sort of bribery, you know, or, you know, these are in-kind contributions or something, because she's not even a former president. You know what I mean? Like, why is she getting so much money for these speeches? And, you know, and so I think we have a right to know what she's saying to these people, because it's not, it seems like they think she's going to be president, and so they're paying her this money, right? I mean, because what on earth is she saying that they need to pay so much money for?
It seems like it because that's what it was. It's pay to play. They believed she would be the leader of the free world. They were paying forward in advance on access in the future.
Unless she releases her transcripts and we're just all blown away, like we just can't believe all the things we're learning in these amazing speeches. I'm being sarcastic. I mean, I don't, right?
Well, I'll never forget that moment in a debate this time around. Anderson Cooper saying, but did you need to take $250,000 for the speech? And her response was that's what they were offering.
All right. Well, first of all, I can only speak for me, but I'm a fan of capitalism. So this has nothing to do with anybody's right to get paid. But if you are asking this, I'm wondering how many people in the Democrat Party are wondering the same thing. That's the problem for Hillary Clinton. It is a trust issue. It is the issue that goes to the core of who are you? Who are you to take that kind of payment for words that should be free? Now, remember, she got paid to talk about Benghazi, right? Yeah. Those are words that should be free. In my estimation, as a former Secretary of State. I also think, so to hear you question it is interesting to me, because you're just as curious as the rest of us. But again, you have the right to make it in America.
Of course you do.
Sure. But when you run for president, we also have a right to know how you made it.
But nobody's questioning her right to do it. The point is, a lot of the problem that she has right now is with the Bernie Sanders supporters who don't like all this crony capitalism.
Right.
And even her coming out and saying Bill Clinton's going to be my economic czar. Well, a lot of people feel like, I don't know, he was pretty cozy with Wall Street, you know, and is that really what we want? We want someone who's going to take on the banks. And
she gave $4.1 million worth of speeches, closed-door speeches, just to financial institutions between the time she left Secretary of State and when she started running for the presidency. If you've been running for the top job in the country your entire adult life, why in creation would you give these speeches? That's what I don't understand.
Because you can throw them out the same way you threw out thousands of pages of email.
They were already worth deep into the 8 figures.
Yeah.
Deep into the 8 figures. It wasn't a money issue.
It's because they don't believe the rules apply to them.
Speaking of the fact that this was brought up in a couple debates, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the DNC chair, was on with her own Brett Baer last night, and he pressed her yet again, this isn't the first time, on whether or not there's a possibility of a final Democratic debate to be hosted by Fox. Here's what she said.
Madam Chair, I've asked you 3 times about a possible final debate to be hosted at Fox News. Today we sent out letters of invitation to the candidates. You want to weigh in tonight?
Not quite yet. We're still, you know, working through that process and talking to our candidates, and look forward to talking to potential media partners as we move forward.
Not quite yet, Kirsten, she says.
Yeah, I mean, this is ridiculous. And of course, because, you know, Hillary Clinton herself has invoked Megyn Kelly as being such a consummate professional when she was attacked by Donald Trump. So if she's such a consummate professional, which she is, and obviously Brett is as well, and Chris Wallace. What's the problem? Like, can anybody really seriously say that these have not been great debates and they were very hard on the Republicans? And so why shouldn't the Democrats have to, be questioned by them?
Yeah, whenever I hear a politician make that kind of comment, it always makes me think, what kind of deals are being made in the background? I mean, they are trying to get Bernie Sanders out of this race. Yeah. They do not want to give him another platform and have possibly Hillary Clinton misstep and have the whole world see it on Fox News. Like, they don't want that. Those will be enormous numbers, and those are numbers of people who may not ever support her. That's what I think of when I see Wasserman Schultz say, well, we're still talking about it.
She's either Jimmy Carter in '76 or Jimmy Carter in '80. Because
is there a difference?
Well, he won the presidency in one and lost it in another, because he only got 40% of the popular vote in the primaries in '76 and still won. But he lost a lot of the late contests to Ted Kennedy in '80. It was a sign of his waning popularity and that he was going to lose big time in November.
Bernie.
Exactly. No, the protest candidate continues from Bernie Sanders, and it is a reflection of the one the Democrats truly wanted to nominate, but they actually do have a rigged system that prevented that revolution.
We've already talked about Bill Clinton a lot, but let's keep at it. Finally, a response from Bill Clinton to what Donald Trump has been saying recently, accusing him of abusing women. The billionaire businessman bringing it up once again, tweeting, "Amazing that crooked Hillary can do a hit ad on me concerning women when her husband was the worst abuser of women in U.S. political history." While campaigning in Puerto Rico, a reporter asked the former president whether he had any response to Trump's latest attack, alluding to his past infidelities. Watch.
Mr. President, do you have a response to Donald Trump today calling you one of the worst political abusers in U.S. history?
I think people are smart enough to figure this out.
He's smiling, but Pete, I want to go to you on this.
I am too.
With Hillary,
you're smiling too.
With Hillary Clinton pulling her husband further into this campaign and essentially promising the people that he's going to have some sort of role in a potential additional Clinton administration. Does it open them up even further to whatever kind of attacks Donald Trump sees fit?
Well, of course it does. And whether she bear hugged him or not, Donald Trump was going to make him a centerpiece of his attack on her, his counterattack on her, especially because they're going to make women a centerpiece. He probably won't answer a lot of reporters' questions on this, but I guarantee you can see the stump speeches right now, right, as he drops into his southern drawl wherever he is and starts talking about the good old days and what Trump's saying and how however they're framing him at that moment. So I still think because he can't resist it, Bill Clinton is becoming more and more of a liability for Hillary Clinton.
I'm going to bring up something I want anybody can jump in, but I'll go to you, Sandra, first. It's something Julie Roginski has said repeatedly. Be careful not to make Hillary look like the victim, because she does that very well and will benefit very much.
What do you mean? Hillary playing the victim, hasn't that helped her?
The victim in terms of, well, you know, when Rick Lazio invaded her space in that debate when she was running for Senate, that turned women toward her.
You guys are saying the same thing.
Yeah, let me just say, this might be the strategy, but how long he can stay out of it and not respond, to your point, Pete, that, of course, is going to be a big question. But look, we know Bill Clinton is eloquent. He could probably respond in a way that would not hurt her. I mean, look, she's not trying to avoid her husband. She's using him. She's saying he's the one who's going to fix the economy when she becomes president. So, you know, this might be the strategy for now, but I don't know how long he can refrain.
Yeah, he does help the conversation for her right now, particularly with Bernie Sanders, because he's able to do that pivot with her on the economy. And that is so critical within their party, because we've seen so much of the infighting since last weekend's Nevada face-off contest there that Hillary Clinton won, and the infighting between the Bernie and the Hillary Clinton supporters. I'll move on from that. But it is interesting, though, that with women, and that being such a hot issue, Kirsten, this is going to continue to come up. So it may not be a local reporter that gets him, but we've seen him spar with protesters, with voters. It could be somebody from one of those crowds, and then it gets dicey, because you do want to answer them, their voters.
Yeah, and also he may just get worn down. You know, once you hear the question over and over, he may finally snap and say something that he shouldn't say. In terms of the women voters, I think for women voters who are Democratic voters who are older, have heard this, have kind of filed it away and said, we know this is who he is. It's with the younger voters that it's going to be more of a problem. And the question is, they're probably not going to vote for Donald Trump, but are they going to stay home? And younger voters really don't understand this. I mean, they really, if you talk to people who are younger, they don't get how he did what he did with Monica Lewinsky and got more popular.
Let alone
like
the
they don't really.
Hillary Clinton gave
they
some of those
They
women.
don't understand it.
And
It's
I'm
not
waiting for him to lose his temper and start wagging his finger in somebody's face like he does. How dare you ask me that? Because that'll hurt him.
And it better not be a woman. That'll be complicated.
Yes, indeed. Harris Faulkner.
Good advice. Good advice.
I love it when they use my last name.
So ahead of a meeting with former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger, Donald Trump raising